Hey, welcome to Scot Ferrell Show. Thanks so much for dropping by today. I greatly appreciate it. Great show today, at least I think so. Great topic. Stopped by the coffee shop the other day and got some input on what we're doing around here and what we're doing with the show. And they came up with a great topic. I actually have a book I'm writing on this very topic right now. Normally, today's topic is blended families. This is at least 3-day seminar, 8 hours of 3 days, so 24 hours. I'm going to try to do this in 45 minutes. All right. So also, I want you to look at something on my microphone, something really cool. I produce this show out of Area 52, cool place, and they do squatching here. And it's really cool to hear what they do, the stories. I've always been fascinated by that area of interest. So if you're ever in Summerville, Georgia, stop by and see the place with the aliens. Everybody knows where it is. It's not complicated. All right. I get fueled by Dirt Poor, as I always do. Great coffee. If you're ever in Summerville, Georgia, make sure you stop by. Why are they so important to me? Well, when I came to this area, they introduced me to the whole town. And they introduced me to some of the best coffee I've ever had and some of the best muffins I've ever had. Now, Heather, the owner, swears she can't cook. And I'm like, but you make the best muffins I've ever had. And she's like, but I can't cook. I disagree with that. But stop in. Not only is the coffee great, the people are great. They're lovely. If you're having a bad day, go in, get some coffee, get some love. There's plenty to go around. The girls are wonderful. And I always go in. I think I go in daily now. It's part of my thing, my shtick. But I like the coffee. I like the people. You can't miss. So if you're ever in Summerville, Georgia, no, I don't live here. This is where we film. It's wonderful. All right, so take my word for it. All right, let's get back to today's topic. Blended families. Huge topic. With the divorce rates, let's look over general divorce rates, and then I'll go over the divorce rates of blended families. General divorce rates of first marriage. This has probably been updated since I did my research on it. I'm writing a book on that too, as far as marriage. Let's see, I think it was 35 to 39% first marriage. Second marriage was 55%, and I believe third marriage was above 65%. And then fourth and fifth, and just give up. All right, so now the commonality here, if you've been married more than once or twice, not counting spouses that are deceased, maybe it's you. Maybe just look in the mirror and go, hey, maybe, just maybe, it's me. Maybe I'm a contributing factor, because in every marriage, part of that marriage is you. Just a little data there. Somebody call Meghan Markle and let her know that. Probably be a good thing too. But normally there's some of you in there. Now, what's it take to be a blended family? Well, this is normally the definition. If you go to college, you're going to get this definition probably in Psych 101 or Behavior 101. It's taking one family with another family. Now, here's the thing, and I asked this in class. What's the difference between a regular marriage? That's two blended families. It's one family and another family that didn't know each other. All right, so what's the difference? Well, normally we like to classify a blended family as additional kids. So let's give an example. Lady's got one kid. The soon-to-be husband has two kids. They're not the primary parents or the developers of those kids, and they get married. So now we have a blended family. Or, I guess, technical term it would, you have someone that has two kids, you have a man with no kids, but they're still blending. The key is there's kids in the equation. As long as you have kids in the equation from, I guess if you look in the journals of psychology, that works. As you can tell, I spend a lot of times reading periodicals and journals. I'm still that guy who likes to get up on the latest data, especially in the behavior world, because things do change as far as how they classify things. So let's get to the blended family. All right, what do we normally think of when we think blended family? Well, when I was a kid, remember I grew up I was born in the mid-60s. There's a TV show called The Brady Bunch. And we're going to play the trailer here in a second. But my idea of the perfect family was the Brady Bunch. Why? Well, it was Mike and Carol Brady. She lost her husband. She had 3 girls. Mike had 3 boys and lost his wife, and magically they get together. Roll the tape and we'll let everybody see it. If you've never seen this, you can go to YouTube and watch it. And Gen Z, if you don't know the show, go look it up. It's probably one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. So you guys can roll that and let them see it.
Here's the story of a lovely
And the funny
lady.
thing was, while you watched the show as a kid, you wanted to be them. Here's why: because every baseball player I thought was cool to play for the Dodgers just happened to stop by their yard. And then one day you got Joe Namath, Willie Mays, who played for the Giants. Mickey Mantle came by their house. It seemed like Muhammad Ali, I think, came by their house one day, and then they get to go to Hawaii, and it was a really cool show. But the greatest thing was the way they solved problems. Yeah, even on TV back then, they still showed some of the problems. Now you got to wrap everything up in a nice bow in 30 minutes, but it was still great, and you can see here it looks inviting, and it was cool the way they did it, especially technology for that time of the world. That looked really cool. We thought it was very cool. What we thought was cooler was all of us were in love with Marcia or Jan. I was a Jan guy. I was always a little different. And then we wanted to be Greg Brady because he seemed to get to hang out with Don Drysdale, Mickey Mantle, Muhammad Ali, Joe Namath. Everybody wants to be that guy. But was it real life? Let's think about that. Is the Brady Bunch, if you've seen it, Ozzie and Harriet were not, that was the model, and then we got to the Brady Bunch. So we had Ozzie and Harriet not divorced. Then we go to the Brady Bunch. Someone's passed away and got blended. And it's great because the kids who played those parts, they're adults now, and they're in their 60s, they're all still friends. So that tells you a little bit about the show and the scheme of the show. But is the Brady Bunch real life? It's a good question. Did we ever see grandparents? Did we see disgruntled people? You didn't have a mad spouse. You didn't have somebody trying to kidnap the kids. You didn't have angry aunts and uncles. You didn't have 4 sets of grandparents to deal with. You didn't have infighting all around you. No, here's what you had. You had Carol, who was the stay-at-home mom. Then you had Alice, who was the housekeeper. You had Sam the butcher. And you had Mike. He had a study in the house where he did architecture. And then he went to an office. For that time of period, that was typical, okay? So is that real today? For a lot of families, sure. But is it real for a real blended family? Probably not. Can we learn something from that show? Yes. I remember in school, in college, we actually addressed the Brady Bunch because a lot of the stuff they addressed in the show as far as what Mike did for the kids works. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit. But now let's go over this. Let's look at all the barriers to blending families. Because it can be overwhelming if you let it. Now, I did some research this morning. I wanted to update all my stats, and I waited till this morning to do it because maybe something changed, right? It didn't. Blended family rates of divorce are still 67%. Now, third marriages, if you throw that in at 73, why am I saying that? A lot of time that third marriage is a blended family. Well, why? Well, the third marriage, most places, takes place late 30s, early 40s, sometimes 50s. Now, in some places I've been, I've met people that were on their third blended family by the time they got in their late 20s. And I suggested they get some help with their behavior issues. But let's break this down. I wrote down all the issues. I actually brought some of my book notes today. You have to look at it, okay, we're getting married. I got kids, you got kids. Let's say that's the scenario here. And I'm in a blended family. My wife had little ones. I had an older one. My son had already, good grief, my son was in his mid to late 20s by the time I married my wife. And she had a 6.5 and a 10-year-old. So I basically started over. So I know what it's like to go through the scenario. But she didn't go, okay, we love each other. We've been on dates. We love each other. We want to get married. We want to blend this. All right. You have to sit and go, how many people are really in this marriage? Seriously. Because the external world does matter. You just don't go, and it's all gone. You have sets of grandparents, and now you've got more sets of grandparents because you've interwoven everything. You have aunts and uncles. You have already set behaviors by certain family members. You have kids involved who also have sets of behaviors. And now you have spouses involved. Now, I would like to say, go ahead and put that photo up for me, and I'll address this. This is what your typical blended family looks like now. Yes, we're a blended family. What about it, right? A cat and a dog sleeping together. It sounds like the movie Scrooge. But that's what it looks like a lot of times. Now give me the next one about the spouse, and we'll address this right now, because we always have other things from the external world that are involved. And these are some of the problems we get with that. All right, so look at this chart. You're going to sit and go, okay, in a normal family, we have these, okay? We got ups and downs. We've got hand-me-downs. We've got fights. We got people mad at each other. We've got people having a pile in the car. We got money issues. We have constant noise all over the house. We've got dirty bathrooms, got to get clean. Sharing rooms, I don't want to. Great, that's true. You can overcome all those. Those are hard enough when you haven't blended two worlds together that are different, and we have biological parents in the world. Now imagine trying to blend those things with people that aren't sure about each other. Give me the next one with the spouse, and we'll address that first, because that's going to be the first thing you have to address is if the person's not deceased, this is what you've got. And co-parenting with my ex is awesome. They really became so mature and cooperative since our divorce. Said no one ever. All right, just leave that up there. Is that a true statement? For the most part, from what people tell me, yes. My ex-wife was fabulous. We got divorced because I'm a moron, so she was wonderful. That was easy to say. So I didn't bring, my parents had passed away. It was funny. I had circulated this thing when I used to be a high school teacher. I told the kids I killed my parents. Somebody always believes me. My parents died from cancer when I was in my 20s. I don't know why people believed that. They also thought I was in the mob. I was a serial killer. I was CIA, all because I wore black every day. I wore black because I was gaining weight and I don't want anybody to call me fat. That's simple. Now, let's look at this. Is this true? Probably. A lot of people, before I met my wife, I'd go on dates like we normally do, right? And the top of the conversation on a date would come up, have you been married? What's your ex like? And a lot of people had been married to Peter Pan. What's Peter Pan? Never grew up, probably still lives in his mom's basement. And you know all the behaviors associated with that. So do most spouses just go along and go, this is wonderful. Man, I'm so glad you got remarried. Thank you for letting me hang out with you guys, on and on and on. And the answer is no. Well, why? Well, they weren't that great of a spouse to begin with. Remember something. We get married a lot of times for the wrong reasons. I wrote them down. This is what people told me. I wrote this down. It's going to be in my next book. All right, these are reasons why people tell me external of kids. So now try to add in kids and grandparents and everybody else that like the other spouse better, right? All right. People told me they got married for money. I actually know people that said that for sure, and it was true. I know one guy who got married because he needed a place to live. Blended a family because he needed a place to live. Hey, bro, get a job in an apartment. Go move in with a friend. I think it's a whole lot easier. Lonely. People get married because they're lonely, even though they have kids. If you have kids, you can still be extremely lonely. You just get caught up in the mundane whatever of life, but it doesn't mean you have some intimacy or somebody to share how you feel, what's going on, talk to. You don't have that. Sex. I know a lot of guys who got married for sex. Plain and simple. Now, I always ask them, because I interview people. I'm the guy that stops you at Kroger and goes, you got a second? Let me ask you a question. And I would say, okay, it was great beforehand because I know you auditioned her first. How was it afterwards? And 9 times out of 10, they'll tell me, well, it seemed to disappear. Oh, so you got an audition, but they weren't ready for the job. And it ends up in divorce. And I know a lot of guys that got cleaned out like that. Sam Kinison in the 80s did an entire act on this. He said instead of getting married, he could just give a woman he knew a house every 5 years. All right, next reason, convenience. These are real things that people said to me. I got married because it was convenient. It was something to do. Everybody else was doing it. Yeah, okay, let's think about this. You're going to make someone entitled to 50% of everything you have. You're going to basically almost ruin somebody else's life probably. All because it was convenient and you want to get laid and you wanted some money. See, those aren't good reasons to me. Those don't work. Remember, I am a pastor. So when I sit down with people, I'll like, okay, why are we doing this? Well, the first thing I'm looking for is, did God tell you to get married? If your creator didn't tell you to get married, what are we doing here? He's giving you the manual on how to do it. Why aren't you just using it? All right, so, and here's the thing, when people get to a pastor or to a coach or whoever it is, they'll come in and they'll go, we want to get married, we're blending families. Okay, cool, great. Why? And what I'll do is I'll get out my whiteboard, I'll sit down with a couple. Okay, let's have it. Outside of love, okay, so we've got that, and so what else are we blending here? And they stare at me. And they will just stare at me. And I'm like, was that a difficult question? All right, we both know that love's not enough. If you've ever been married, it's work. I don't care how much you love your spouse, it's still work. Because last time I looked in my marriage, I didn't come in perfect. So I'll have things I have to work through. She had things she had to work through. Even though I love her more than anything on this planet, I got to have more than that. I'm going to give you a solution to this, but you got to think through this. So while you're going over that, let me ask you some questions. And I'll say, okay, we're in the home environment. What goes on in the home environment? Okay, let's break this down. So what I tell people is, when you're in a relationship and when you're going to get married, people always tell people to fight fair. There's no fair fight. Once you get mad, you're in it to win it, period, and nobody wins a fight in a marriage. However, what happens if you pre-discuss issues and decide on an equitable solution prior to being angry? And you do it in a relaxing environment, and you write it down and go, this is our mode of operation, and we're not going to budge off this. All right? Because we know the outside world may want to tear us apart, but we got to stay aligned. So, okay, so what can tear you apart? All right, so we do talk about sex, we talk about money, okay, we get those off the table. One budget, one doesn't, that ain't gonna work. No, everybody's gonna be on the same page. Talk about sex, okay, we get that one out of the way. I don't really like to talk about that as a pastor. I always leave that up to the individuals. Not something I write about books. Like I told somebody, I do a seminar on how to get laid for men. And at no time during the weekend do I talk about sex. The men at first are mad. They're thinking, ooh, yeah, he's going to talk about sex. I don't. I talk about love. I talk about peace. I talk about joy. I talk about fulfillment. I talk about making the other person feel valued and appreciated and loved and how you be committed. And they're like, dude, really? Yeah, that's what goes into it. But we sit down and we go, okay, what are the sacred cows? There are sacred cows in so many marriages, and here's what I mean. There's one child that could be favored, and that child doesn't receive the same as these child, or these. Or, talked to somebody the other day, the husband's kids get treated worse than the new wife's kids, right? So this person wants everything for her kids and nothing for his kids. And I see that quite often in marriages. And I always ask the guy, I'm like, hey, bro, did you meet her prior to getting married, or was this arranged and she showed up the day of the marriage and you said, I do? Hey, these things show up long before you get married. Just watch. Oh, what stops you from seeing them? This is what I tell couples all the time. Don't audition the sex. Here's why. And being a pastor, oh, he's just going to say that. No, let me give you some science behind it. Once you enter into that arrangement, you stop solving problems, because that is your problem solver. What do they call it? Makeup sex, right? It's makeup for X. I'm mad at you, you're mad at me, let's have makeup sex. Well, did we solve the problem, or did we just have sex to cover it up? See, once we get in the bedroom, we stop communicating and solving problems the way we're supposed to. What we're supposed to do is put everything on the table. I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. What are the issues we're going to face? Because we got kids over here, man. We're blending a family. We got to make sure this lines up. We got to make sure that we do this right, because everybody in this circle of our family is watching us. And whatever we do, they'll repeat. Because we learn through repetition, and we learn through watching behaviors. That's how kids learn. They use all their five senses, watch you, and repeat. That's why we end up being our parents. So now you've got all these eyes on you, right? Everybody's eyes are on you. What are you doing? See, most people don't think through these things. They say, I'm in love, you're in love, and let's just do this, and we'll figure it out as we go along. Okay, if we do that with business, how long do we stay in business before we go bankrupt? Not long, because you don't have a plan. If you don't have resolutions, if you don't have your manual, if you don't have your mode of doing things, if you don't have your attorney, CPA, all the people involved that you're going to need, you're going under. Why do we think families run any differently? I run things like I ran my basketball team, right? I run my church the way I ran my basketball team. I'm the head coach, players, assistant coaches. What do? I watch film. Well, what am I watching film on? Well, I'm reading my Bible. I'm studying the manual. I'm doing the playbook. That's my Bible. I'm watching film on Satan, what I have to teach my people. Life's no different. If I'm getting married, I want to be the Brady Bunch. I want to be in love, and I want everybody to get along, and I want to wrap this up in a bow in 30 minutes, and everybody's happy. If I don't do that, then I got problems, and all the kids that are in our circle are going to have problems too. Remember, they're going to replicate what we or you or whoever it is does. So then you even have to come back farther, and I go, okay, when I get up on that board, I'll go, give me everybody, all the players. Give me your great-grandparents, his great-grandparents, give me grandparents on both sides, give me the kids' grandparents on the other side, and I draw everything out on a 6x6 board. All right, here's what we got to work with. And I'll go through all the behaviors that I see that could be a problem. And then I'll go through their behaviors that they've had programmed in. Remember, I do human programming for a living, and you're programmed from 0 to 7. Everything that you witness through your 5 senses is automatically hypnotized in you, theta waves, 5 types of brain waves. You're in theta, so you're in hypnosis. So now, after I see everybody on the board, I know what's coming. So what I'll do is I'll go, okay, tell me about these people, tell me about these people. You almost become irrelevant because by looking on the board, I can see how both of you perform. Under stress, when you relax, what you do, everything. And I'll go, are the following true? And we'll write them down. Yeah, how'd you know that? Miracle, I guess. Throw up the next photo, please, for me. And I want to address this, yes. Because this is the next thing I ask. We've gone over this. We've gone over behaviors. We've gone over programming. And then I have to ask, because most people, okay, she's got 2 kids, he's got 1 kid, so what do they want to do? Want to have another one. All right, so the moment he realized he was now the middle child, right? If you're a middle child, raise your hand. I was the baby, so I didn't get treated the way everybody thinks. My brother had it better, and he'd say I did. But the middle child, there's a reason why we call it the middle child syndrome. Again, if you take Psych 101, or probably by the time you get to a 300 or 400 class, you'll address this. I know in behavior we did. Why is that? Because it's the lonely one. It's the mediator. It's the one that has to perform. It's the one that has to handle things and do all the traffic negotiation and directing traffic for the family. Even in the Brady Bunch, you had Peter on one side, Jan on the other, and they still directed traffic. So thank goodness in the series, they wrote in what it's really like to be the middle child. So now you bring in kids, he's bringing in kids, and now you manufacture a kid together. Okay, and I always ask, will this new child be the sacred cow? Will this new child get treated differently from the other ones? Now, we all treat our children different because we're supposed to. They're individuals. We can't treat them all the same. Nothing works for every kid. Basic rules do, but then the rest of it doesn't. However, if we have the rules, everybody's got to follow them, including the sacred new cow, because the middle child's the one that gets lost. The middle child normally, I'm thinking of one of my best friends. He passed away a few years ago. She's gone on to be a top-notch chiropractor. She was a middle child, and she outshines everybody. She's lovely. But I know what came with it. All right, so now we've blended, and I'm the middle child, and I'm lost, and I'm directing traffic, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how to position myself. So now you've got all this coming together, and everybody's uncertain of how this is going to go. Everybody's not knowing from day to day, okay, because, again, we have ex-spouses, and in most situations, I was a teacher for 25 years. I saw so much bad. I can't tell you how many times kids would come in my class and just burst into tears, or come into my office and just want to cry. I just sit there. They didn't want to talk. They just wanted to cry, but they wanted to be somewhere they felt safe so nobody'd see them and make fun of them, but they didn't realize 2 of their other classmates had just been in there crying. Remember, if you're a high school teacher, you're not just teaching subjects, unfortunately. You're not there to just teach math. You end up being all things to all people sometimes. But out of all the 25 years I taught, I saw probably that's three out of 25 years. Think about how many kids I had in every class, 30 kids. That's 150 kids a day. I saw 3 families that did it right. 3. 1. They didn't know what they were doing. We'll figure it out as we go. I don't know if I'd already said this, but let me bring it up again. I knew one couple, which I'm still dumbfounded they did this to this day. They dated in secret. Okay, we do that till we meet our kids. That's cool. I saw somebody, we've got a restaurant next door. It was funny. We were there the other night, and we saw these 2 people. They had kids. She had kids. He had kids. Clearly, they were on a date. The kids didn't realize it, and they were holding hands underneath the table. Me and my wife just busted out laughing because we remember when she had to introduce me to the kids. But these 2, let me take a sip. These 2 dated in secret, went down to justice of the peace, and got married in secret. The kids still don't know. And then went home that night and broke everybody the news and told them they were moving into whoever's house and they just need to live with it. These kids were already in high school. So you can imagine, all hell broke loose about what happened. Next day I got to hear about it. I didn't teach the kid, but somehow they got relayed to me. This was, 20 some odd years ago. Don't do that. That's the bad way to do it. All right, let's keep going on this because I'm going to give solutions here in just a second. I want to get out all the problems. So you got belief systems. God, no God, what we got here? Satanist, Christian, what do we have? Quasi-Christianity, I sort of believe, I don't. What is it? Discipline. All right, no, I'm not talking about beating kids. Everybody wants to send me an email about that. No. Discipline, you discipline yourself first, but what are the rules of the household? Do you have rules? Does one set of kids have one and the other set have another? Seen that happen. I've seen 3 kids get away with murder and 2 kids get crucified. Or one's Cinderella and one's not. It just depends. What are the rules that these kids can depend on? Yes or no? And I'll ask people and they'll go, well, what do you mean? Well, they know. That's right up there with the wife going, if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. No, they don't know. Kids don't learn through osmosis. I used to be a smarty pants, and I'd go in class and put my hand on the physics book and they'd go, what are you doing? I'm learning. No, you're not. You can't learn that way. Oh, thank God, somebody realized it. And they all start laughing because they know what I'm talking about. If you don't open the book, you don't know what's in it, therefore you're not going to pass the test, you're not going to pass the course, right? Same thing here. If they don't know the mode of operation or the manual, how are they going to know what to do? We think people figure things out on their own. They don't. If you want to see how slow people are, go to Sam's Club or Walmart. Figure out people real fast in a society like that. Now, I've droned on. Let me have the next photo. It's pretty funny. All right. There's no such thing as the perfect family. However, on social media there is. Thing I always tell people when I go speak, I write this in books, you do not know what happens at night once the door's locked. Okay? It looks picture perfect, it looks wonderful, and then once that door's shut and locked, you don't know what's going on. But in social media, don't we all look like this, or somewhat look like this? There's no such thing as the perfect family, but we think there is. Well, how could that happen? Well, how did that happen? Just saw the former lieutenant governor in Virginia kill his wife, kill himself while the kids were at home. So there's no such thing. Let me have the next one too. All right. Oh, I can't be the only person who hates these photos. Are you even a family if you don't have a photo wearing jeans, white shirt? I mean, seriously. Or the beach photos? To tell you about our blended family, one year we did Merry Kissmas. We're big Kiss fans. And we went to the show that year. And we all dressed up like the band. So we had our cat, we had Peter, I was Gene, my wife was Paul, and our youngest was Ace. That was our Christmas card. We thought it was cool. We refused to do photos like this. Again, let's look perfect. I'd rather be perfect than look perfect. I would rather get everything ironed out, done the right way, make sure the kids aren't fractured, make sure the kids don't have oodles of therapy to go through once we get through destroying them, through our blended family. I would rather have a happy family that didn't have to put on a front to look good. Kind of like a church, you fight with your wife all the way to church. You open the door. Hey, brother, how you doing? It's so good to see you. Oh man, this is a beautiful day. We just love Jesus. And you go back and get in the car, and what do? You pick right up where you left off with the fight. Why don't we just try being real? How hard is that? I mean, it's just not that hard. All right, let's get to solutions because I want to get to those. All right, this is how I would do it. This is how we did do it. Let me have the next one, guys. This is so funny. I just bust off. Even my wife started laughing at this. Man faked being deaf and dumb for 62 years to avoid listening to his wife. That's commitment. Yeah. What makes a blended family work? Commitment. Yeah, you got to have the love, and you got to have the, if God tells you to get married, marry him. But this guy was committed, 62 years. Now, when I act deaf, my wife just hits me. She's like, are you listening to me? Well, not really. I was trying not to, but apparently you want me to. But commitment. Commitment's number one. To get through a blended scenario or any scenario, you got to have commitment. All right, let me have the next one. All right. I got this because I had the thing. Motivational speakers annoy me sometimes. All right, difference between motivation and discipline. See, we are gleeful. We're in the honeymoon period. We love each other. We're ready to do this. Oh, I love you. I can't wait to do this. Well, see, motivation only takes you so far. You got to have the discipline to continue. See, the motivation gets you drives, temporary effect, you get your endorphins going. The only problem is with motivation, you have to re-up on endorphins. That's different. See, discipline, commitment, the discipline's to continue even when the endorphins aren't flowing. And you don't feel like it, and you don't want to do it, and you got in a bad mood, you're sick, you had a hard day at work or multiple hard days at work. See, that's when you know you're with the right person. Because endorphins run out, the honeymoon period ends, all the hormones start to fade away. Now we got to get real. Now we go, I am committed to do the following. Are you committed to do it? And you have to have commitment or it's not going to work. And so you both have to be on the same page. So when you sit down as a family, which is my next thing I'll talk about, let me have the next one. This motivation is the start, discipline is the key to success. You sit down as a family. See, this is what I do with my company. See, there's a reason why people meet on Monday mornings with their company. All right, why does a company meet on Monday morning? They're going to decide what's coming. All right, so you have quarterlies, you Q1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Got that. But you have to do check-ins every single week, and sometimes I do them more than once. But as a group, we sit down every week. Why? What's going on? What's in the hopper? What do we got to do? What are the problems? Let's get them solved. So you got to have discipline to do that. See, motivation is great. I feel great. We're going to do this. I love you. You love me. Give me some kisses. Yeah, it sounds great. It's like when you hire a football, basketball, or baseball coach for a college, especially in the SEC, the greatest day he'll ever have is the day he was hired. Because after that day, he's a bum who doesn't know how to coach. Same thing in high school. That's when I went through. I can't tell you how many people told me I knew nothing about basketball. Commitment gets you through that. Every day's not easy. But what you do is you sit the kids down, you all sit down, everybody's on the same page. It's what I like about the Brady Bunch. They handled situations in a practical way. If the kids had a problem, they went down the hall to Mike's office and sat down with him. And he always handled it in a great behavioral way, to be honest. If you watch the clips and how he solved things, it was great. No favorites. And then once a week, they would go into, they had a cool living room area that went out to the patio. And he had a blackboard. And they drew out what was going on. We did that with our family every week on Thursdays. We had whiteboard time. All right, where are we going on vacation? What do we want? What do y'all want to eat? As a group, this is our company. We understood that this was my wife and I's company. Our kids were our, so to speak, employees. And we had to have an environment that fostered progression and creativity and love and peace and joy. Okay, how do you do that? Everybody's got to be on the same page. So every week, all right, what are the problems in our family? What are the grievances? We handle those. My wife and I were HR, right? All right, how do you get paid? Love. Now, I did have chores, so we did pay our kids for their chores. And we structured out our family what we wanted to do. We structured out our vacations. We as a family did sports vacations. I used to be a basketball coach. So we would go to ACC games. I'm an ACC guy. I know, oof. My wife went to Georgia. I finally taught her what basketball was because she didn't know what it was being in Georgia. She only knew football. So I took her to a Duke, Wake Forest, North Carolina State, and UNC game, all within a succession of a week. Now she's a basketball fan. Now she likes to go up to Duke and see games, and she likes to go to Chapel Hill. And Coach K did me a favor or two when I was in high school. And I had a connection to all those coaches and Coach Barnes at Tennessee. Now she likes basketball. So that was our deal as a family. So we would arrange that. Okay, what do you want to do? And every month we would sit down and go, okay, we're going to do a family outing this month. What do you want to do? We'd set it and we'd go do it. We were always in tune with each other's lives. And then I handled certain things. My wife handled certain things. And it'd always get the, hey, can I go do this? Did you talk to your mother? Or she would go, did you talk to him? See, we stayed on the same page. There was no dividing us. There's no divide and conquer with us. Why? Because we sat down as a family. We went over the rules, and this is how it was. All right, you broke the rule. You know what it was. Let's move on. It's like being wasteful or being late. One of our kids was motivated by money. So what we did was, I said, all right, for every minute you're late, it's $2 to mama so she can go shopping. We really used the money on him, but we didn't tell him that. So one time he was 60 minutes late, so that's $32. I knew he was good for it. He had it. I helped. He was mowing grass. All right, you want to see a kid change his behavior when he's got to part with $32 and give it to his mom to go in their shopping jar? Actually, I used the money back on him to go buy him some shoes. But he was never late again. And then he would have buddies over, which is great, but they would waste soda. Like, I don't drink soda, but my wife does, and so $2 a soda if one was wasted. Well, he had to pay $4 one time, and that was the last time we ever had that again. What were we doing? We were teaching him how to self-monitor and self-regulate so we don't have to. I don't want to be the heavy. I want you to be the heavy on yourself. See, if I teach you how to do these things, then I don't have to do it. I don't want to have to come in and go, hey, man, look at the sodas again. What's complaining going to do for anybody? See, which I taught, you're going to be somebody's husband. You're going to be somebody's employer or employee. You're going to be somebody's friend out in the social world. And you may be somebody's father. The quicker you learn to self-motivate or constrain, the better you are when you get out there, because it's my job to mold you to be a constructive part of society. Well, that's his motivator, so no yelling, no screaming, no nothing. Just, you know what to do. All right, let's get on. I got stuff to do here. I ain't got time to mess with this. And then he would do it himself. It's like every day when he'd come home because of our family meetings, my wife would go ahead and have a clipboard on the wall, and it would have his checklist for his chores that day. Now, keep in mind, our son was the only kid in the whole neighborhood that had chores. It took him 8 years to come back and say thank you for that because he was so mad at us. It's so unfair. I have to clean the house. Well, you live here, and you live here rent-free, so you're going to do it. You should have done when I was a kid. You know, I had to give him one of those speeches when I was your age. I did have it tougher. I was a drug addict by the time I was that age. But he gets out in life. Now he owns his own company, self-sustains, self-maintains, see where this is going. But we didn't have to argue. See, life's too short, especially in a blended family, to argue. It should be peace, love, and joy. It should be, man, I can't wait till I get home, not, oh my gosh, I just want to get out of my house. I can't wait till I'm 18. I can't wait till I get out of high school. I can't wait to get away from you people. See, that's what I heard a lot as a high school teacher. Because commitment, discipline, and then you have patience, because not everybody's going to jump on the same page at the same time. It's no different than what do you do when you onboard an employee? Do you expect the onboarded employee to act like somebody that's already been here 5 years? Well, no. They don't know how to do everything. It's no different than the first day of basketball practice. It's so different from the last day of basketball practice. Looks like two different teams. I saw that talk the other day. They've already started SEC football meetings and talking, and they've already rated all the teams, right? I live in the South, so that is part of it. Football is a religion here. So it should be that way in your home. So I know that this is going to take some time. I'm going to put up some guardrails so we can all get used to each other. We can all do this. At the same time, mitigating all the outside interference from former spouses, former grandparents or current grandparents, aunts and uncles, daycare workers, people from the other job, the other neighborhood. The problems come because, like with the Bradys, the girls moved into Mike's house, which was really cool. And if you can go online and see, it didn't look like that. That was a studio set, but then they made the house actually look like that. And I think the person lost their shirt on the house. But it was a really cool set they had built. So put the guardrails up. You're having to change schools. You haven't changed neighborhoods. You haven't changed friends. I didn't really ask for this. Now they're going to want to rebel. And that's when you got to sit them down and go, look, I love you guys. I'm here to make your life better. Things sometimes have to change. Like I had to move to my wife's house because now I had to drive an hour and 15 minutes one way to go back and teach at my school. But I didn't want the kids to have to change schools, and they're in their neighborhood, and try to make this transition as easy as possible. Because it's no fun, especially if you're in high school and you've thought about this being your projected life, and you have to change. So you have to mitigate all the things to do that. And then you have to come together and say, as spouses, okay, this is the key. Spouse one. See that finger that's up? That's a one. Spouse one. Let me say, I think you should just make a song out of this. Spouse one. Spouse one. Not kids, not mom and dad, not aunt and uncle, not grandma and grandpa, not your friends at work. Spouse one. If you remember that one thing, you're not going to be part of the 67% that got divorced. And you're not going to be hated by your children or your stepkids. The people in the neighborhood aren't going to hate you. One. Spouse one. See, if spouse one, that means I'm committed. Because now we're a unit. Remember, when you get married, God sees you as one organism. What God joined together and that low man put asunder really means, from a quantum standpoint, God sees you as one person. You're an entity together in the invisible or in the quantum. So now you have to function as an indivisible atomic structure, so to speak. And you have to be on the same page. So now you've met with the kids, did the family thing. Now the spouses have to sit down and do the C-level executive meeting, whatever, like we do. And say, okay, here's our family structure. Where are we in this structure? What are your jobs? What are my jobs? Here's where we got to come together. Here's our differences. We got to work these out. We have to put everything on the table. This is where people will really start to screw this whole formula up. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've seen parents get into it at meetings. We've had to have people arrested at the school when I was teaching. Now, I've been out of teaching, I'll use my toes in a minute, 13 years? So I've been gone a while, but we've had to have people arrested at the school. People have been threatened. One of my friends had a knife. The guy tried to stab his own son during the conference. We've had bomb threats, you name it. I think I've seen it from ex-spouses. It's just bad. So now that's why the C-level executives have to come together and go, look, spouse one, we're indivisible. Here's our jobs. Here's the description of those jobs. We have to do those jobs, whatever they are. One of ours was whoever got home first did dinner. Now, my wife can't cook. So the boys were always like, please let Scott get home first, or we're going to Moe's. I remember one day I did not get home on time, and my wife was there, and my wife was going through menopause. So the youngest runs out. He hears my car pull up. He runs out in the garage. He goes, whatever you do, don't go in there. It's like, what, gee? I want to go say hello to your mother. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stay out here with me. So I walk in. Hey, baby, how's it going? What? I mean, she starts screaming at me. I mean, just screaming at me. I turned back around, walked back out the door. He's standing there with his arms folded going, told you so. I said, let's go to Mo's. Let's let her have her time by herself. That, just part of life. We got that fixed. She got the right doctor. We have great doctors, and that was handled. But we never lost fact that I was one, she was one. Not mom and dad, not ex-spouse, not listening to that chatter and that nonsense, not somebody's grandparents, not somebody trying to buy you off, not somebody to gin up trouble with the kids, because this is what I've seen. I've seen grandparents pay kids to disrupt the family, seen that one. I've seen ex-spouses try to pay kids to do that. I've seen ex-spouses try to get the kids to make up stuff that'll get the current spouse arrested. I've seen them stalked, you name it. Why? Why? See why you have to be on the same page? Because of this madness and craziness? All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Let me have that last photo. All right. I don't always pretend my family's perfect, but on social media, I always do. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. Again, remember, this is a 24-hour seminar that I do, and I've got to write the book on it. I got a parenting book coming up, which will supersede this. Got that coming out this year. What Men Don't Get About Women will be coming out in the next month or so. But don't let this be the only way you have a good family, is on social media. Make sure that you're one whole unit, you function as a unit, you function as a team. What happens inside the locker room stays there, and you learn how to make it work, and you learn how to work through it, and you have commitment, love, and discipline, and then your home is peace, love, and joy, and that's it. All right, now, I got to get to the mailbag, or people are going to get mad at me. All right, got to have that. So remember, send us your questions. My wife makes the prettiest cards, doesn't she? She makes sure that I have stuff to read. Yeah, go ahead and throw our ways up they can contact us, and they can send stuff in. All right, let me get the first question. There you go. It's on the screen. All right. Question 1 from Roswell, Georgia. Beautiful place, great downtown. I just moved to a new town, and I don't know anyone. I'm lonely. What do I do? All right, I went through this myself. I moved to Atlanta. The Lord told me to pack up, move everything, leave the girl I loved, and move to Atlanta. Okay, that's cool. Now what? I didn't know anybody. I had one girl I'd seen some, and then we broke up. All right, now what? Well, how do you normally meet new people? I was lonely too, so work, got that, and I was a basketball coach, so all I did was work. Found a church, found a coffee shop, found a gym, found my chiropractor. That was, and from there it just blossomed. It seemed like after a month of work, it seemed like I'd been here a lifetime. I've been in the Georgia area for almost 30 years. I left North Carolina. I left Cary, North Carolina, to come down here. It's been wonderful. It's my home now. And now we live almost in Alabama. So I've been around the state quite a bit. But the thing is, do you really want to meet people? Are you lonely enough to go out, take a chance, take a risk, and meet people? So go to church, that's one. Gym, doctor's office, work, go out and eat, find a coffee shop. That normally does the trick. All right, let me get to the next one. All right, this is from Anita, Blue Ridge, Georgia. I really don't like the way my husband dresses. I want him to change his style, but I don't want to hurt his feelings. How do I handle this? Wow, I can't tell how many times I get said, people say this to me. Thank God, my wife was lucky. I'm coming out of high school, and a lot of people don't know this because I kept it a secret. I got accepted to fashion school. I wanted to be a merchandising and designer. And at one time, the School of Design from New York had an outlet, had a satellite office in Charlotte. And at the time, in the 80s, Charlotte was a big hub for fashion. People didn't realize that. All the mills were in North Carolina. And I got accepted, and that's what I wanted to do. And I had a good friend that worked for Ralph Lauren corporate. And I talked to a lot of the designers at the time and got to know them. And drugs got in the way. I also got a nuclear physics offer, but drugs got in the way of that too. So how do you change the way they look? Tell them, oh, hey, man, this ain't working. Now, if all else fails, you have something that he wants and he can't live without. So that's the negotiating chip. As my dad said, you'll do what they want you to do the rest of your life because of those advantages. My dad was right. Here's the thing. we want to look good for you. I want to look good for my wife. I would never wear something my wife didn't look like. So if she goes, which she's never had to do, now I'm colorblind, so she has to help me some. But I want to look good. And remember, if you look good, it's one more closer step to, the other thing we really like to participate in as a married couple. But take him shopping. Show him how good he looks in it. Okay, what's his style? What's your style? Maybe that's not his style, so make him look as good as he can. For a lot of my clients in my consulting company, I take my clients shopping and redress them and restyle them. Okay, I'm still good at it. And so they're professional people, and I go through, you're not maximizing who you are. I had a radio personality I had to do that with. I've had CEOs I do that with and go, hey, bruh, the puffy vest and the quarter zip ain't working. You need to look professional. And here's what you need to do. Here's what you've got to put on. This will be better. Here's what your wife says. I've got a buddy that's a custom tailor. He will not go on an appointment with a man without his wife there. Will not. If the wife's not there and he gets there, he will reschedule till the wife comes back. One, if the wife's there, men spend more money. And now you know that the wife's going to like what he's wearing, and we tend to like what gets us some loving. And we'll wear whatever it takes to get some loving, right? So just sit him down and hurting his feelings, who cares? Just make him look good. If he looks good, he's going to feel better. That's the thing. If you look good, you look in the mirror and you go, I look good, I'm going to feel better by the way I look. That doesn't even take a behavioral study to do that, although we did do one. All right, when you see yourself in sweats, how do you feel? When you see yourself in this, how do you feel? When you see yourself in this, how do you feel? Well, they always picked the nice outfit that fit well. Why? Because they look good in it, and they know look good in it. And here's the thing. I don't care if you're 400 pounds or 40. There are things that you can put on that you look good in. Even our son introduced us to the 1,000-pound sisters. Even 600 pounds. You can still put something on that looks sort of good. I follow a guy on Instagram that's by no means in great shape. But he gets all of his clothes custom made, and he looks fabulous in what he wears. And that's the key. You got to know what your deal is, what your style is. Look at Clint Black. I don't think he's changed clothes or George Strait in 50 years of country music. Button-down shirt, sport coat, blue jeans, cowboy boots. Looks fabulous with the cool cowboy hat. Both wear black hats. All right, both look cool. Both wear the same thing. It's that simple. All right, let me get the next one. I don't want to keep any in the bag over the week because people do email and go, why didn't you read my question? Remember, I get so many questions, I can't read them all. Normally during the bag, I can only handle 3, maybe 4 a session. So keep that in mind. And again, they've got it up there on the screen, how to reach us, and show@scotferrell.com is how you send in the questions, okay? All right, next one. Huntersville, North Carolina, my hometown. I heard you and your wife do something with the word platypus. What's that all about? This was actually asked by a girl that I love and adore, and I wish she was my kid, and I'm jealous because she's a friend of mine's child. Platypus. All right. Because people get angry when they get corrected, like, stop drumming on that table. Really, you're going to keep doing that? Stop making that noise. So we said, okay, that's going to make people mad. Oh, that's going to make somebody defensive. So what do? We brought up a nonsense word. I used to teach science, and a platypus always interests me. So if someone in the home, me or her, is doing something really annoying and we can't stand it and we want to smack them, we just say platypus. Platypus means that you're not allowed to get mad. You're not allowed for your feelings to get hurt. You can't start hollering and screaming, nothing. You just stop what you're doing because it's annoying the other person. See, we set this up because we didn't want to argue. Again, what do we want in our home? Peace, love, and joy. If I want peace in my home, then I can't fight and fuss and argue with each other. So now, and I do more annoying things than she does, because I drum on the table and I do all those things. She says platypus, and I just stop. Again, life's too short to argue over stupid things. So we were at their home one night, it was funny because this young lady just got married, wonderful young man. And I was doing something and Patricia goes, platypus. But she did, platypus, platypus. And I was like, you only have to say it once. I heard you the first time. Because I guess I was really annoying her, so she had to say it more than once. And this girl's like, what are you two doing? Is this like some code? I was like, yeah, it's called not arguing with each other. We made a commitment and have the discipline and the love to follow through with the rules we set for each other. I'm like, I love her. Why do I want to argue with her? And I probably was annoying her, but what happens if she goes, hey, stop that? Why are you always going to do that? I can't believe you're always making noise. Oh, that's not going to make me defensive and start into an argument, is it? So one word goes, oh, okay, I'm annoying her. And I just start laughing when she says, it's always laughing, or it may be a song, or I'm the annoying guy who likes to make up songs about my wife. We are musical people. We're both professional musicians. So my wife gets a new song every morning because my wife can't stand to get up. So I will sing her a new song with her name in it or whatever I make up. And she hates all of them, so she will normally platypus me. Or she'll go platypus to every single thing you're thinking right now that might be connected to a song about me. I'm like, well, that's not fair. I had several good songs already on deck, and now you're going to let me sing them. And we laugh. Why? Because we've been empty nesters, 12 years. We've only been together 20. We don't argue. Again, we've safeguarded, thanks for the question, we've safeguarded against what could destroy us. And so now we just, if it takes a nonsense word, we have other things we do but the monthly meetings normally alleviate any issues we would have each other. And now we've been together so long, this is annoying me, cut it out. Okay. And the response is, okay. Why? Oh, she said platypus. I know I'm annoying. I'm divorced once. I know that I have the capability of that. My ex-wife told me that. So, and every girl that's ever dated me, and you could probably say the same thing just watching me. Yeah, I could be annoying, so take it at that. All right, thanks for the questions. Remember, show@scotferrell.com is how you send those in. Also next week, first interview on deck. My friend Erin Saxon is going to stop by. She's the former producer of The View, the old View, not the new one, with the crazy people on it back when Barbara was there. And it's cool because she's been nominated for 4 Emmys. I only got 1. I'm jealous of her. She's fabulous. She's a PR expert and a marketing expert. And I've asked her to stop by. She will probably be a reoccurring guest on the show because if you own a business, you're not going to want to miss what she's got to say because she's going to give you a concise way to bring it home, baby. All right, as we wrap it up, remember, do somebody a favor this week. Tell them how much you love and appreciate them. Take care. I'll see you next week.